Hi, I'm Tom Hess, and I'm here to share with you today some secrets on building speed on the guitar. Now, you probably know a thing or two about what it takes to build some speed on the guitar and how to get faster and to do that in a way that's easier. But frankly, there's a lot of myths and some misconceptions about how to build speed and how to do it in a very effective way and efficient way, and basically just how to progress much faster than the typical guitar player does. So what I'm going to do first is share with you some misconceptions and some myths about some things that you probably heard about, you probably know or have experienced, but they don't work in quite a good way. And then I'm going to share with you what the answer is. I'm going to tell you exactly how I built my own guitar speed over the years, and just as importantly, how I've helped many other guitar players through my online guitar lessons become virtuoso guitar players, or at least very good players with a lot of speed for those who pursued that specific goal. Now, I mentioned a minute ago about myself teaching online guitar lessons, and this video, what you're seeing now, is a small sample of what a lesson with me might look like. Now, basically what I'm going to do is go through the problem, define the solution for you, tell you exactly what it is in this sample. If you were an actual student of mine, I would go much further after the part that you're about to see and go into a lot of depth about how to implement and specifically practice the ideas so that you can transform your guitar playing in a very short period of time. But since this is just a sample, I'm going to keep it short and give you some things to think about and start working on your own. Alright, so let me tell you a little bit about a lot of the common problems that guitar players deal with and the reasons why they struggle in order to build very serious speed on the guitar. And the very first misconception or problem that many people have is that their original goal or strategy for building speed usually is totally wrong. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, if your goal is to work on creating faster movements, such as picking faster or moving your fingers faster, you're already on the wrong track, and it will take you much longer to build real speed if you are focused on making fast movements. Okay? So that's just let me just lay that groundwork for you to understand. The second thing, or the second problem that a lot of people think, is that if they just practice a lot, they will eventually get faster and faster and faster and faster. And while there is, some truth to that, of course it takes practice time, and the longer you practice, the better you'll get over time. But just because you're practicing, and just because you practice for a long time, doesn't mean that you're going to ever develop serious speed, okay, or serious skills in other ways. It's just like if you wanted to become, like a world famous or a world champion boxer, okay? And if you thought, I'm going to practice boxing and, flinging my arms around like this, and, you got really good at doing this really strong and really fast, you're still not going to be a good boxer, because your whole approach to flinging your arms around is not ever going to help you to knock the other guy out. All right, so it's an obvious example, but a lot of people, that's how they attempt building speed on guitar. They just practice and practice and practice, doing it over and over and over again, thinking that they're going to become a virtuoso one day, and then it doesn't happen, and then they say things like, well, I guess I just didn't have the natural talent, or make up all kinds of excuses and reasons why they never got to that high level. Okay? All right, so the next thing that I want to talk to you about is some things that you've probably heard about before. If you've been around for a while, or if you're relatively experienced, or if you've been reading a lot of articles online, or there's a couple of books out there that are relatively good books that focuses on the subject of tension and on economy of motion, efficient movements. And I don't mean to discount or discredit those ideas, because those ideas of playing with the least amount of tension possible while still playing well, that concept is relatively good. Okay, it's often misunderstood, but the concept itself is fine. But that idea in and of itself is not going to lead you to become a virtuoso guitar player in a relatively shorter period of time, because it is just one part of many that's required to build speed and to build it, quickly and easily. Now, the other issue is something I mentioned about a minute ago, which is economy of motion. And many people or many teachers focus on getting people to use the smallest amount of movements possible, no unnecessary motions, and keep your left hand fingers really close to the neck, and make sure that your pick doesn't move any more than it needs to move, etc., etc. This concept in general is also, has a lot of merit, but just by controlling the efficiency or the economy of motions by itself is likely not going to lead you to have great breakthroughs in speed in a short period of time. Okay, so again, both concepts are good, but they're incomplete in terms of developing high speed and doing it in less time. Okay, so what is the answer? What is the thing that I've used to build my own speed and the thing that I've used to help many, many other guitar players reach the virtuoso guitar speed level? And that is that each hand, fretting hand and picking hand, is best trained with separate strategies. And this is really a secret, because when you read about building speed, when you hear about other players talking about it, when you research this online or buy books or whatever, very often the author is talking about a single strategy, a single concept, or in some cases you're talking about two concepts, but essentially the process that they take you through or recommend that you go through is the same for both hands. Okay? What I'm suggesting is that each hand should have its own strategy. Why? Well, it's pretty obvious if you think about it. Each hand has totally different tasks that it has to do when playing, and each hand has its own problems. I mean, each hand is in a totally different position, has totally different role, etc. So to have one strategy for both hands, I mean, doesn't that just common sense tell you that that might not be the best thing? Well, sure it does. But you may not have thought about that piece of common sense until maybe like right now, okay? Like most people do. All right, so what are the specific strategies that I'm talking about for each hand? What is the solution? What is it that I do? What is it that other people do to develop high speeds in a relatively short period of time?